We're all about local at Techopia, but today we speak with a tech sector executive with a big national perspective. This company brand is known around the world. This guest leads almost 6,000 employees in Canada, and we will get his take on the issue that's on everyone's mind, AI. All this coming up on this episode of Techopia Live. Hi, Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Welcome to Techopia Live. This is a podcast from OBJ that interviews people from Ottawa's tech ecosystem. We've got a mission at Techopia. It's to share knowledge, create a deeper level of understanding of what's happening in the local tech ecosystem, to explore issues that are common to tech firms and help level up the tech sector. Thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying this show, please share it with a friend. Give us a like. All right, let's get down to business. Techopia Live, by definition, of course, is about Ottawa and Eastern Ontario. Today, we stretch those boundaries a little bit to include a technology executive who has a national mandate, but Ottawa can claim him as one of its own. Let's welcome our guest. Here is the president of Microsoft Canada. Please welcome Matt Milton. Hey, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Huge fan of the podcast. Real honor to be on it this morning.
Okay, great. And we bumped into each other at the City Building Summit, and I was so impressed by what you said in an AI panel. I wanted to make sure to include you here. So maybe we'll just start with a little bit of a personal intro. Tell us about your Ottawa roots. You've got a big job. You could say it's national, you could say it's global, but hey, Matt, you're from Ottawa.
Thank you. Yes, I am in fact from Ottawa, born and raised here. Met my lovely wife in Ottawa, and then I had the honor of building a career all over the world. You know, we had a chance to live in New York, and I spent a good amount of time in Europe. But it was always a dream to get back to Ottawa and get back into Canada and help build, the tech ecosystem here. And so, real honor to get back. Love the city of Ottawa. Great place to raise my 3 children. A great place to build and make an impact with technology. So it's been a real pleasure.
Awesome. I should say OBJ, almost no one knows this, has a bit of an affiliation with Kitchissippi Times, and you're a proud resident of Westboro. So glad to have you as part of that special neighborhood in Ottawa.
Full circle, Michael. I grew up in Westboro. I met my wife at Nepean High School, and we left for a really long time. And now, many of my kids go to Nepean High School. So full circle, really, really great to be back in Ottawa.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about Microsoft now.
All right.
So, and maybe, in fact, Matt, let's start pre-Microsoft. You've been there for a good length of time, but tell us about your career in tech so far.
Yeah, of course. So actually a short period of time at Microsoft. I joined here. I think I'm past the time where you count the months, but it's been about 10 months. So sort of approaching a year here at Microsoft. But my whole career has been in the tech industry, almost 25 years at IBM, and then its services business, which was Kyndryl, helping companies use technology to accomplish really important things. But as I mentioned at the beginning, it was always a dream to get back to Canada and work for a great company here and help Canadians accomplish that. And so, the Microsoft opportunity came up about a year ago to help run Microsoft Canada and help Canadians here really get the immense opportunity that AI is gonna bring. And it was a little bit of a dream come true, dream role, dream opportunity. And so I left Kyndryl back about a year ago and joined Microsoft.
That's neat. And as noted, you're about a year into that Microsoft opportunity. Tell me about what your mandate looks like for Microsoft.
Yeah, look, my title obviously is pretty clear as the president of Microsoft Canada, but I think my mission is pretty clear as well, and that is first and foremost helping Canadians reap the immense benefit that AI is going to bring. I think exactly how that's going to look is yet to be determined. We're still all creating the future, but I don't think there's any question that AI is going to have an impact on the future we build. And priority number one is helping great Canadian organizations reap the immense benefit of that. But I think that's too simple. I think as you look at it, I want to ensure that we recognize the trade-offs and downfalls that are going to come with this. There's no question that this is a major sort of generational opportunity, and with that comes a generational transformation. And we've got to understand those, recognize those challenges, and really lean in to fix them, whether those challenges are around, ensuring we can build it sustainably or ensuring Canadians trust it. Those are all things that really, really focused on solving. And then, I think finally, I touched on it a little bit at the beginning. I'm not just the president of Microsoft Canada. I also happen to be a husband and a father of three. And it's really important to me that I help build the future here in Canada that meets Canadian values. And second, that I'd be really proud to hand over to my children. Their career, no question, will look different than mine. But I do feel it's, our responsibility to make sure that they have an opportunity to make an impact. And while that may look different in the future than it did, in the past, I still think we can build an inspiring future that we would all be really proud to hand off to the next generation.
And we're going to continue digging into AI for a second, but let me just follow up with a Microsoft question. How big is the team that you lead here in Canada? Any specific goals? You're in Ottawa. Is that in part so that you can kind of represent Microsoft to the federal government? I'm guessing on that one, Matt.
Yeah, look, so first, wonderful organization here with a long-standing commitment. So Microsoft Canada, Microsoft as an organization globally is 50 years old. Microsoft Canada is 40 years old. So, Canada is a very critical element of Microsoft, and we believe Microsoft's a very critical element in Canada. And so we've been here 40 years. We are a coast-to-coast national organization. We've got a little bit more than 5,300 employees. We impact about 17,000 partners in Canada that work on our platform, and we've got about that generates about 430,000 jobs. So really, like I said, I think Canada is unbelievably important to Microsoft, and we believe with our long tenure here and our commitment to this country that we're pretty important to Canada as well.
That's good. And again, just to touch on that federal government, are you specifically here in Ottawa to be at close proximity, maybe I could say, to the federal government? They must be one of your significant customers, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah, look, we are, as I mentioned, we are coast to coast to coast. We have wonderful customers in, every community in Canada. The federal government, given the transformation that they're going through and the importance they have to citizens, is obviously a really important part of our business. I wouldn't overthink my location in Ottawa. Okay. The government's unbelievably important to us. We're proud to work closely with them. We're inspired by the challenges they're trying to solve, and obviously being in Ottawa helps. But we do wonderful work for organizations in Toronto and Calgary and Halifax and Vancouver, and so we're like you said, we have a national, if not an international, mandate to really help every organization get the benefits from AI here.
Awesome. Listen, Matt, we're going to press pause on the conversation for just a second. We're going to come back and talk all things AI, which is literally, I think, all tech executives can talk about these days. But before we get into that, we want to take a second to recognize the sponsor of this episode, the University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering. Welcome to the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, where world-class researchers and state-of-the-art facilities drive innovation and skills development. Explore the U Ottawa IBM Cyber Range, an unparalleled immersive facility in downtown Ottawa. Developed with IBM, it offers hands-on cybersecurity training and serves as a testing ground for cutting-edge technologies. Perfect for organizations seeking to elevate their cybersecurity expertise, the Cyber Range offers customizable training tailored to your needs. At the University of Ottawa Canada North Campus, the Smart Connected Vehicle Innovation Center is at the forefront of autonomous and connected vehicle technology. Through strategic partnerships, we can co-innovate with industry leaders in Canada's largest tech park. Learn more about our facilities and how we drive your organization forward by visiting our website today. And thanks to our friends at University of Ottawa, we're back with Matt Milton from Microsoft Canada. Let's talk AI, Matt. So, as I said, when I heard you speak at the City Building Summit, I think one of the critical issues I was focused on, and maybe you can address it for a second, is just adoption, right? We have access to these remarkable tools. They're improving at a phenomenal rate, a mind-spinning rate. The question, I think, for a lot of tech entrepreneurs and frankly SMEs is just how do we adopt this in a logical way? How do we get our teams on side? How do we dispel some of the worries about job losses? But let's just start the conversation with your big comments on adoption.
Yeah. First of all, Michael, I appreciate you sort of addressing the adoption piece. I think we see a lot of discussion on who's building the latest large language models and who's building the latest silicone chips, and while those are all really important elements of the AI ecosystem, we feel pretty strongly that the organizations and the countries that are going to yield the greatest benefit from it are not solely those that build it, but those that really adopt it. And we run a global survey around AI adoption, and look, there's no question Canada's moving forward, but we are ranked 15th in the world, and over the last year we've actually dropped a spot. And so while Canada is moving forward, and I applaud some of the work being done, the world is moving a little bit faster than us in terms of adoption. And I think as I step back, there's a lot of things that we take from that and that we're trying to bring forward to Canadians. I think first and foremost, you touched on it, right? This has to be a trust-based transformation. This is not just a set of technical capabilities. These are behavioral changes that have to happen. And that was a big reason why we made such a big investment here in Canada in December, to help bring more capabilities here and more trust for Canadians to feel comfortable. Second piece from that is you need to have confidence. You need to be comfortable using these tools. These tools and capabilities change every single day. And that's not just a Microsoft statement, that is an industry statement. And so, big focus on getting people comfortable to use it, training people, big certifications across, all Canadians. We just finished up a wonderful program with the province of Ontario, handing out more than 330 high valuable certifications around AI. And this is all about how do you give people the confidence to go build with it? And that's the next piece. If we could step back and reflect on, maybe where did the industry not help adoption? And, the way that I think about it is I'm not so sure the stories and discussions over the last year have been all that inspiring. I certainly didn't come to Microsoft, and we didn't invest in these capabilities to do the work that we all do today simply with less humans. That is not a way to inspire a country to go and build wonderful things. And we're really now focused on how do we drive inspiration? How do we get these capabilities into the hands of Canadians? How do we give them the confidence and training to be able to use them effectively? Because there's wonderful stories of what they can accomplish when we do that. You think about what's being done at right in Ottawa at Ottawa Hospital, where we all know we're in a very challenging healthcare situation, and clinicians are using Copilot and AI to transcribe their engagements with patients, and it's reduced self-reported burnout by 70%. That's an inspiring discussion. When I hear things like that, it makes me want to jump out of bed in the morning and go build the next great thing. And I honestly feel that's the same thing for all Canadians, that when they feel inspired and are inspired about what we can build, they will trust it, they will put their time into it, and we'll build a pretty remarkable future here.
And I love the health example. I think sometimes it's the best one you can use. I've heard Cameron Love from Ottawa Hospital talk about it and give some examples of their vision of AI. It almost seems, Matt, that what we're shooting for here as entrepreneurs and technology sector leaders is really to say to people, like, this can alleviate some of the drudgery, some of the mundane tasks, do better data analysis, and really allow us to maybe be even more human. I was having a bit of that conversation last night, right? If we just had could get rid of some of that stuff, it doesn't mean we're in a more impersonal world where potentially there's a lot fewer jobs, although that's to be determined. I think we can still maintain a lot of humanity in business circles and strengthen relationships within and outside corporations.
Yeah, look, I think there's no question that capabilities can be used to sort of automate and transform mundane tasks, drudgery, sort of, if you will. But I think that still fits into this bucket of sort of doing the work we do today, but with less effort. And I'm not so sure that that's all that can be accomplished here. I think the healthcare example is a great example, but I really like to think about the success of AI in Canada is going to be driven by us building a world of abundance, not just using these capabilities to go after what we do today. And what do I mean by that? As we reduce the time that clinicians have to spend on the drudgery of being a doctor, taking notes, all the work that they have to do, all the administrative work that they have to do. What is that going to unlock? What capabilities, what problems are we going to be able to solve that once were impossible to solve for humanity? And I think that's where we now need to point these capabilities. That's where we need to rally Canadians of building this world of abundance. And you mentioned jobs, and look, there's no question it is already impacting jobs. It's already changed how I do my role. Now, I'm not smart enough here to tell you that this is exactly what the future is going to look like, and this is when that's going to happen. But I do know when you step back and look, generational transformations will create new jobs and new industries that we don't understand yet.
Yeah.
And I really believe that's where we have to start shifting the inspiration for Canadians. What are we going to build here? What great new jobs are we going to create? What problems are we going to solve? What businesses are we going to build that maybe we couldn't have built a year ago? And you got me pretty passionate and fired up about it. And we just did a work trend index, and yeah, there's a lot of work to be done here in Canada, but the inspirational thing is more than half of Canadians that are using these capabilities are doing things today they could not do a year ago. So this is no longer about solely doing the work they've always done in a different way. This is about solving problems that a year ago we were unable to solve. And that's deeply inspiring to me and my organization.
Yeah, your point's well taken on inspiration. Really, that's where we need to keep our sights and not focus necessarily on the day-to-day tasks. I wanted to give you an opportunity just to talk about the federal government's new AI strategy, AI for All. It was announced just a few days ago from this taping. Any thoughts on the direction of the federal government in terms of framing this?
Yeah, first of all, we applaud it. I think a very clear, as I mentioned, we've had the pleasure to engage with the federal government almost at every level, and just very thoughtful, committed, and expert approach here. So we really do applaud the clarity from it. We sort of see it the same way, which is you have to get these capabilities, and this is not a Microsoft statement. You have to get the AI capabilities into the hands of every Canadian. It is AI for all. You have to give them the confidence to build with it and the trust that the AI is going to be aligned with Canadian values. I mean, those are sort of the bare minimums to build a level of trust with Canadians and get them using it, get them confident to build with it. And like I said, when you do that, what they build is truly inspiring and truly remarkable. Another great example in the healthcare space is in northern BC with Northern Health. And, this was about getting access to labs. And we just simply didn't have the capacity that the community needed. AI has been driven to free up more lab capacity, faster results, faster identification of issues, faster process into care, which, saves lives and really does change communities. And so, yeah, we applaud what they've done, and I think it's a great start.
That's great. Good. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Matt, a lot of the people that watch the podcast are technology entrepreneurs. They're working in all sorts of sectors. When I talk to these people, they seem to be thrilled with the potential. You said, inspiration. They're all in on the inspiration of AI. If they're in the software sector, they're a little bit concerned too, as you might appreciate, because this concept that they might have spent years building code that AI could replicate in a matter of minutes or days or what have you. Is as we look forward, into how these startups might use AI. Do you have any advice for them, or any things they should be thinking about, Matt?
Sure. First of all, let me just sort of applaud the entrepreneurial community you mentioned, specifically in Ottawa. I think it was great to come back, and the main reason was that, the Ottawa tech ecosystem punches so well above its weight class and has for decades. So just a really inspiring, and you talk about unbelievably hard work and doing unbelievably meaningful things, and that community, for what it's worth, has a ton of gratitude from me. So look, I think if you think the value of your company is based on the code you created, then I would agree with you. I think you're probably going to be disrupted by AI, but I think entrepreneurs didn't get into it to create the world's greatest code. They got into it to solve a real challenge, a real problem that existed in the world, whether that's in the tech space or outside of it. And so my advice is, don't lose sight of that. That hasn't changed. Great businesses are going to be built to solve meaningful problems, right? So find the problem you care about, that you're passionate about. AI is a tool to help solve that. And so I think if we can build that way, we can build this view of abundance, we can solve things we weren't able to solve before. But absolutely is going to disrupt companies that were predominantly deriving value by their ability to manage and understand complex rules. AI is now fundamentally built for that. It is not built to communicate an inspiration to people. It is not built to deliver a level of clarity and influence to the world. And it's not really built to identify the problems in your community that need to be solved. And all of those challenges sit squarely on the shoulders of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. One of the things just off the cuff that I'm noticing is a lot of software as a service players are integrating the AI into their platforms, right? So there's not that temptation to take the data outside to an external AI platform or that type of stuff, but just to have tighter integration within the SaaS platform to accomplish tasks, digest data, analyze data type things. It seems to be one strategy I'm noticing, at least from some of the companies here in Ottawa.
Yeah, no question, Michael. I think, look, the corporate organizations are unbelievably complicated, and we're solving really important problems. They don't need more complexity. Yeah. AI will certainly bring it, but as you said, the better ability sort of integrate these capabilities into the problem you're already solving, first, that makes your company much more valuable, much more relevant. But it makes it easier for organizations, right? Organizations cannot be in the business of constantly integrating new AI in completely new ways, right? The entrepreneurial ecosystem has to help serve that, and I just think there's a great opportunity to use these capabilities to solve problems.
Okay, Matt, we're going to begin our wrap up, but before we bid you adieu, it's time for our Building a Better Working World segment, brought to you by EY.
I'm Matt Milton, and I'm helping to build a better working world by pouring my heart and soul, ensuring that Canadians can get access to AI, the confidence and capabilities to build on it, so that I can see Canadians reap the immense benefit AI has to offer.
That sounds like a better working world to me, Matt. Listen, I want to sincerely thank you, Matt. You got a big job, lots of time pressure, so really appreciate you spending some time here with us and Techopia Live. And I don't know, I'm really proud that the president of Microsoft Canada is living in Westboro. So hopefully that continues.
Michael, the honor's all mine, and my mom's pretty proud too. So really, really appreciate the time.
Okay.
Like I said, love the pod. Love what Ottawa is doing in the entrepreneurial space, and
cool.
Real honor to be living there.
All right. Well, hope to see you soon around town. Maybe bump into you at Bayview Yards or something like that.
All right.
All right. Thanks. That was Matt Milton, the president of Microsoft Canada. And let's take a look at some of the other great companies that champion this Techopia project. Techopia is brought to you by many great sponsors, such as EY, building a better working world. Pearlie Robertson Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and technology sector law. The University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Techopia is not only a podcast, we post new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell icon. All right, big thank you once again to Matt Milton from Microsoft. Certainly someone that we're happy to have in Ottawa's tech ecosystem. Listen, I want to give a shout out to EY. We launched a new national magazine with them. It's called Pointing North. You can find it, in fact, Googling it is the easiest way to find that. A beautiful new magazine covering technology from coast to coast. It has some great city spotlights, great profile on Telesat, one of the real movers and shakers in the city, contributing in a remarkable way to the future of internet with its low Earth orbit satellites. So please pick up a copy of that magazine. Also want to encourage you to visit obj.ca. We have almost daily Techopia coverage on the website. Just go to obj.ca, look at sectors if you want to find it. And finally, subscribe to OBJ Today, an email newsletter that we've proudly circulated for almost 30 years, read by thousands of local technology executives. I know what you might be thinking. Hey, I don't need another email in my inbox, but listen, it's a really quick recap of the day in business in Ottawa. If you want to dig in, click a link, of course. Want to thank you for watching and or listening. We hope Techopia is helping you stay connected and informed. Let's keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. We call that Techopia. See you soon. Cheers, everyone.